Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ibrahim from class DKM1B, and today we are going to presenting about TIG and MYG welding.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syarul Azizi. I will be presenting the welding principle. First thing first, working of MIG. In MIG welding process, the electrode wire from the wire feed unit and shrinking gas supply is attached with the welding gun. The positive terminal of the DC power source is connected to the welding gun, and the negative terminal is connected to a clamp. The clamp is connected to a workpiece to be joined. The welding gun is brought near the workpiece, and as the trigger is pressed, the arc is produced at the tip of the welding gun. The arc produced melts the electrode wire and it gets deposited in between the two metal pieces to be joined and from a slag free weld. A shielding gas also starts to spread as the arc is produced. It protects the weld from reacting with atmospheric air and prevents weld from contamination. The weld formed in gas metal arc welding is free from slag. It is clean and efficient process. This is the working of GMAW or MIG welding process. The next is MIG welding setup. The first step before turning on the welder is to prepare your metal, allied stick and flux core electrodes, which have higher amounts of special additives. The solid MIG wire does not combat rust, dirt, oil, or other contaminants very well. Use a metal brush or grinder and clean down to bare metal before striking an arc. Make sure your work clamp connects to clean metal too. Any electrical impedance will affect wire feeding performance. To produce strong welds on thicker metal, bevel the joint to ensure the weld fully penetrates to the base metal. This is especially important for butt joint. Next, it's time to set up your machine. Check your cables before striking an arc. Check your welding equipment to make sure all of the cable connections are tight and free of fraying or other damage. Select electrode polarity. MIG welding requires DC electrode positive or reverse polarity. The polarity connections are usually found on the inside of the machine. Set gas flow. Turn on the shielding gas and set flow rate to 20 to 25 cubic feet per hour. If you suspect leaks in your gas hose, apply a soapy water solution and look for bubbles. If you spot leak, discard the hose and install a new one. Check tension. Too much or too little tension or either the drive rolls or the wire spool hub can lead to poor wire feeding performance. Adjust according to your owner's manual. Inspect consumables. Remove excess spatter from contact tubes. Replace worn contact tips and liners and discard the wire if it appears rusty. Next is welding equipment. Besides the welding gun, the auxiliary equipment required for the GAMAW process includes an electric power supply, the electrode wire feed unit, and a source of shielding gas. The gun guides the electrode wire current wire and shielding gas tube. As described in the next section, self-regulation of the arc length is maintained by a constant voltage power supply with a constant wire lead speed unit. Alternatively, a constant current voltage supply can be used with arc voltage controlling the wire feed speed. The next is shielding gas. The major shielding gases used for GMAW process are oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, and helium, or a combination of these four gases. The gases that are used in the shielding gas system can be classified either as inert gases, which are those gases that have their outer electron subshells completely full and are stable, and the chemically reactive gases, such as carbon dioxide and oxygen, which do not have their outer electron shell filled, make it possible for the bare electrons to combine with other elements in the working zone to create impurities. The two inert gases that are generally used for shielding gas are argon and helium. Helium is less dense than gas than argon, which means that when helium is used, more cubic feet per hour are required than with argon. Lower voltages can be used with argon than with helium because it has a lower electrical resistance. The lower voltages required in the short arc process lend themselves well to electrical characteristic of argon, which since argon permits the operation of low voltages at any amperage setting. It is better suited for the welding of thin metals. Also, argon does not greatly affect the heat during manual operation, in which the arc varies as the weld operator manipulates the inert gas arc torch. Helium can be operated at much higher voltages. It is often in the consumable electrode gas arc welding process, and it is often used in the automatic GMAW welding process because a greater flow of cubic feet per hour is required with helium. Greater weld speeds are possible. It is possible to weld approximately 35 to 40% faster with helium than when using argon for the shielding gas. Lastly, GMAW electrode. Gas metal arc welding GMAW is an arc welding process that uses a consumable wire, electrode, and shielding gas, which a welding gun fits to the joint. An electrical arc between the wire and base metal generates heat that melts both, while shielding gas protects the molten weld pool from harmful atmospheric gases. A constant voltage direct current power source is most commonly used in GMAW, but constant current system as well as alternating current and can be used. These articles explain the basics of the MIG welding process works, when to apply it, the necessary equipment GMAW, carrier opportunities, and the pros and cons of MIG welding.
Ibrahim bin Muhammad Nasoha, my matric number 09DKM 22F1033. So today I'm going to talk about list the advantage and disadvantage of GMAW compared with the other arc welding. Advantage 1. Minimal cleaning, no slack. 2. Good for true hardened or dirty steel with risk for porosity. 3. GMAW can be fully automatic, resulting in higher productivity. 4. GMAW tends to produce a better quality weld. 5. Easy to control electrode consumption. 6. GMAW can be used for all metal and alloy. 7. GMAW machinery easy to use. Disadvantage 1. Welding is costly and complex more so than SMAW. 2. JMAW has a long learning curve that requires consistent training. 3. Sensitive to air draft and loss of shielding. 4. GMAW is subject to a lack of fusion. 5. GMAW is less portable than SMAW. 6. GMAW is more maintenance intensive.
Introduction about TIG welding. For TIG welding, is known as gas tungsten arc. Is an arc welding process that produces the weld with a non-consumable tungsten electrode. Tungsten insert gas welding became an overnight success in 1914s for joining magnesium and aluminium. Using an insert gas shield instead of a slag to protect the weld pool, the process was a highly attractive replacement of gas and manual metal arc welding. TIG has plays a major role in the acceptance of aluminium for high-quality welding and structural application. The method of using TIG welding is in TIG welding, we use a form between a pointed tungsten electrode and the workpiece in a inner atmosphere of argon or helium. The small intense arc provided by the pointed electrode is ideal for high quality and precision welding. The welding equipment that we use for TIG welding is, of course, TIG welder. The TIG welding machine must support AC TIG output of welding aluminium. Second is tungsten electrode. We use the kind of tungsten electrode that we use for TIG is platinum, cerium, thorium, and pure tungsten rods are mostly common use. Third is filler rods. We use ER70S6 for general mine shield, ERT08 for standard 200 and 300 series stainless steel,
and ER4043 for the most aluminium application. Fourth is shield gas tank. This tank is the cheaper way to use. Read the guide here and or just get a 80 cf argon gas bottle that works great for most jobs and workloads. Welding helmet. The hood should be rated for low TIG and bread if welding thin material then require a low AMP starts. Glove. Next is foot pedal, and lastly is torch. Shielding gas. The tungsten inert gas, with its TIG welding procedure, as the name suggests, called for the use of an inert shielding gas to prevent oxidation of the tungsten electrode and the molten metal. Inert gases don't interact with the welding material in any way, because it guarantee a safe, stable environment for the arc and the pull of molten metal in the joint. This protection is crucial. And lastly is electrode. Tungsten electrodes are used when arc welding with the tungsten in a gas TIG process or when plasma welding. In both processes, the electrode, arc and weld pool are protected from atmospheric contamination by inert gas.
Hi, my name is Del Rashid bin Muhammad Sah. My metric number is 09DKM22F1030. I will present to you the advantage and disadvantage of GTAW compared with the other arc welding. The advantage is no flux is used in gas tungsten arc welding. Therefore, there is no flux entrapment in the weld bit. Next is the weld made with the gas tungsten arc welding are stronger and more ductile than those of other metal arc welding processes. The third one is the IG welds are more corrosion resistant. Next is with the GTAW, a wide variety of joint design can be used because no flux is required. Next is the gas tungsten arc welding provide protection to the weld from the atmospheric contamination. Next, with the tungsten inert gas welding, there is no weld splatter or sparks that could damage the surface of the base metal. Gas tungsten arc welding is suitable for all welding positions such as horizontal, vertical, and overhead. I will move to the disadvantages. The first disadvantage is relatively slower welding speed than other welding processes. Next is it has lower filler metal deposition rates, such as higher level of UV rays, requires high level of operator skill, require good eye and hand coordination to achieve quality weld. In case of the IG welding process, the concentration of shielding gas may build up.